Ibukun Awosika is an entrepreneur, a business executive, as well as an ordained pastor. She is a graduate of chemistry from University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Nigeria. An alumna of the Chief Executive Program of Lagos Business School, the Global Executive MBA of ESA Business School, Barcelona, Spain, Global CEO Program of Wharton, ESA, and China European International Business School. Ibukun Awosika is a co-founder and past chairperson of Women in Business, Management and Public Service, WIMBIS. She is the founder of the Christian Missionary Fund, a faith-based organization that works with hundreds of missionaries spread across Nigeria to change lives with the provision of medical, educational, and other supplies. A multiple award-winning entrepreneur and the first Nigerian recipient of the prestigious International Women Entrepreneurial Challenge Award as a nominee of the U.S. Department of State in 2008. Ibukun Awosika is the first female and immediate past chairman of First Bank Nigeria. She has spoken at numerous world conferences and platforms where she shares her knowledge on several economic and faith-based topics. In 2018, she worked as the executive producer of the movie God's Calling and has authored several books, including The Girl Entrepreneur and Business His Way. She is happily married to Abiodun Awosika and they are blessed with 3 wonderful sons. Ladies and gentlemen, let's receive Ibukun Awosika.
Good evening, everyone, and it's my pleasure to be here. I congratulate Shola Adeshaki and her team on what seems to be going as another successful conference for them for the year. And I see you've already had quite a number of highly impactful speakers who are probably in themselves far more qualified to talk about the technology part of the theme for today and to tell you the best way to maximize the opportunities that are available in the current world of today. So I'm going to challenge you for a few minutes. And my keynote is centered on the fact that we're in a time and a season where we're in a more leveled playing ground. And technology is an enabler that allows a content producer or a content consumer at any end of the world to have access to the same content resources or opportunities if they seek to have the information and to play. It's created a level playing ground that gives opportunities for wealth to be made within it. And the future increasingly is more technology driven, but the principles and the fundamentals do not change. Whilst the technology will be available to enable you, to empower you, to make the field a lot more leveled, no matter what part of the world you come from, the decisions that you make on a day-by-day basis in terms of your habits, your practices, and your actions will make the difference between those who, though they will generate resources, will be consumers. And because they're consumers, the resources they generate with the opportunities that even the technology facilitates, they will be unable to retain in a substantial way that they can build long-term wealth with it. So the principles of discipline and delayed gratification will still be at play. there would be a lot to consider in terms of no matter what opportunities you have or through what means you generate your income, it will still be important how you manage it and how you apply it. Whether you're playing in the modern space of Bitcoins or you're playing the traditional fields of preserving or building wealth, there would be a lot to do with your discipline and your ability to build for the long term. So you have to still understand that the fundamentals haven't changed. The difference between one person and another is not how much money they made in their lifetime. It's how much discipline and wisdom they have to allow the money or the resources that they make over their lifetime to be gathered in a way that the resources themselves begin to work in a productive manner for you as an individual. So even if you do all of the things that I heard the gentleman that spoke just before me do, and you make the money, what will you do with it? Will you be looking for the next designer item? Or I'll tell you a scenario that happened sometime last weekend actually. I went out with someone to have a meal. And whilst we were in the restaurant, I looked around a very highbrow Lagos restaurant, which means that the bill at the end of having a meal would be something tangible. And I realized that quite a number of the people that were in the restaurant were very young people. Some out by themselves, 2 girls, 3 girls, a number of young people. And I couldn't help but notice there's nothing wrong with going out to have a great meal with your friends and all of that. But in my mind, I looked at it in the context of time and season and the level of resources that will be deployed. Because I guess in my 20s, I could still have gone out to eat with my friends, but it probably was very unlikely that we would have gone to the same restaurants that the MD of a bank or the MD of an oil company would take their guests and all of that to eat at the same time. There are times and seasons involved in the process of generating wealth. Because if the quantum of your income that is spent on your lifestyle far outweighs, if the percentage of it is so high that you're unable to gather money together in a way that the money itself is at work whilst you are asleep, then the process of building wealth becomes challenged. So it's not how you generate it, because there are multiple ways, whether from having a good job so you get a good salary, or you're building a successful business so you are making money from it, or because you're gifted one way or the other. Your mindset and your approach will determine the future that you have. Because sometimes, even in our seasons, we're not in a situation where we're able to make the same kind of income. Look at the last 2 years. A lot of people have been challenged. A lot of reserves have been consumed because businesses were not able to make the same kind of money they would have normally. Some were, depending on what field you were playing in. But many people found that they had to fall back into their reserve. Well, what if you didn't have any reserve? Many businesses across the world have closed down. Why? Because depending on the level of reserve, cash reserve that your business has, that affected its ability to survive within such an extended period of lockdown as we experienced across the whole world in different formats as you move from country to country. And what I've noticed as the doors of the world have started opening again and moved from a few countries in the last few months is how many businesses have shut down and how many houses are up for sale, how many families have become distressed one way or the other. What does that tell you? If you're young and you're able to start early, you give yourself a greater opportunity to become stable financially and build longer-term wealth much earlier, but in a sustainable manner for the longest time. But it's about how you discipline yourself. It's about the habits that you have. It's about having a realistic vision that you can execute. It's about setting the systems around yourself to be able to build it for the long term. It's about delayed gratification. Understanding that there are times and seasons for everything in our lives. And whilst the seasons might demand a lifestyle, but your long-term plan should dictate your actions. And you should make realistic plans that you're more than able to execute over the long term in your own interest. So the opportunities to make wealth is there. The opportunity for multiple streams of income is available to all. You can have a full-time career working in an organization and still build a full-time digital presence that is generating income for you whilst you're at work. There's so many different opportunities that has been opened up. So we have the opportunity to have multiple careers all at the same time, using technology as an enabler and playing within the digital economy, which represents the future. However, what all of that allows us to do is it gives us a pipeline to gather. It gives us a pipeline to generate income. What determines if you're able to build wealth for the long term and therefore secure a future for yourself to an extent is what you do with the resources that you generate. And that's what requires discipline, focus, delayed gratification, real plan that is executed, and executing a financial plan to achieve a goal requires discipline and getting the right information, which means you must empower and educate yourself and be open to take opportunities as they open up. Those are some of the things that you will need to do. I'm not talking specifics because I see that you have multiple ways to do this. If Smart Stewards Academy has an investment club, which means that within the investment club, they execute specific investment tools and investment opportunities that you can be a part of. So the great thing would be for you to join an investment club or get an investment advisor or go to investment sessions and learn about what is available, what is possible. Because those things are different for different seasons and times. Sometimes one particular tool is the most effective, viable, and profitable at a point. It might change in another season and all of that. So you must always get what is current information about the right kind of opportunity for that time and that season. And don't just be a follower of trends. Anything you do not understand, you must never invest in. It does not matter if 10,000 people are investing in it. If you don't understand it, don't put your money there. Now, you might have an investment officer who would explain to you why, and takes responsibility for taking those actions on your behalf. However, the best way to actually manage an investment officer or advisor is to make sure that whatever it is that they're authorized to invest your own money in is something you have approved because you understand it and your instinct and the information that you have says is the right way to go. And also, don't have a greedy approach to trying to build wealth from the resources that you generate. If it's too good, it's most definitely too good. So all of those triple M and all of these quick turnaround, 70%, 100% quick money schemes should always be wary. There's always somewhere where somebody is going to get catched. You might not be the one time, or who knows if in the next cycle, you might be the one that will be the loser. So when you're building for the long term, you have to be disciplined. You have to be as knowledgeable as you can be, but you must also find those that you trust who have a good track record and understanding in it. And if you don't really understand something and you're not really comfortable with it, don't do it. It doesn't matter. It's safer to have your capital and have return of 20% than to lose your capital whilst you're trying to get a return of 80%. It's also about the stage that you are in life, the kind of risk that you can take is determined to a large extent by where you are in your stage of life. You know, what can you afford to lose? Are you still in a position to recover? You know, so those are the kind of questions that are specific, which is why I said when you're dealing with either an investment club or an investment advisor, they can take your specific situation and design a plan that works and is effective for you as a person. What is the key here? There are new opportunities available to generate income. Technology has opened a whole new world. If it's an area you're interested in, equip yourself with the knowledge and seek the opportunities. But wherever your cash flow is coming from, organize yourself to be able to apply those resources to build sustainable wealth. Don't just be a consumer. Wants are different from needs, and seasons are different. The things you shouldn't be doing in your 20s are different from the things you can readily do in your 50s or your 60s or in your 40s, depending on how far you have come in achieving your goal. There's a theory I always share about sand and block. When you're still gathering resources and pulling it together to try and build wealth, all you're doing is gathering sand. And when all you have is sand, it's not time to consume. Because when the wind comes, when the storm comes, when there's a flood, the sand can dissipate. But if you have enough sand gathered together to mold a block, when you mold your block, from the edge of your block, you can take sand, which can be your spending money. Your block is your savings or your income streams applied into an investment vehicle that has become stabilized and will continue one way or the other to generate returns for you. If you build a house, let's say we're just talking real estate. If you save enough and apply your income to build a house without consuming the income along the way, and the house continues to generate rent for you, that's rent. The house is the block. The rent you get from it is the sand. You can spend the sand. The block remains. It doesn't matter what the level of inflation is. The property will still generate returns for you because no matter the season, the rent itself will be adjusted for the inflation. So I'm just using one very common example, just so you know. The important thing is this. Seek all the opportunities that you can in this day and time of technology to find the income streams that are available to you and that you're interested in, and that you have the capacity to generate resources from. But once you do that, set up a system, a structure, have the discipline, and understand that there are times and seasons in our lives, and gather and build in a sustainable manner so that you can continue to have your spendable money. I'm sorry, I'm not going to speak for much longer than that. I'm quite tired. I just came off a trip, a flight this afternoon, and I'd given my word, so I wanted to keep it, which is why I'm making the effort to do this. So I wish you all a very successful conference, and I'm certain that you have already learned a lot from all your previous speakers, and there's much more that you will yet learn. And I congratulate Shola Adeshaki and her team for the work they're doing in order to make more people financially literate, because financial literacy, well applied, will lead substantially to financial independence. And I love the fact that you're starting early with younger people as well, because a financially literate child has been given a lifeline that will separate them from their peers for life. Because from early on, they would know how to manage and what to do with money. And it makes a difference. That's what separates the wheat from the chaff. Many people are millionaires across the span of their lifetime, but only certain people actually remain millionaires, because most people consume the millions in their life without ever building it into a sustainable wealth that can move from one generation to the other, or even serve them in the later years of their lives. Make sure you're not one of those. Be sure that you can build for the long term. Knowledge is power. And I believe that that's what Shola and her team are trying to do. Thank you very much for having me. Have a wonderful evening.